my name's Caitlin. I'm currently in my last year doing math and economics. A few weeks ago, I worked as one of economics student ambassador at Arts and Science Program Exploration Day. At that day, a lot of students came to me and asked, so what does people who graduate from economics degree do? I wasn't sure how to answer this question. So I said maybe they do graduate studies, maybe they do consulting, maybe they do business analyst. So that kind of gave me an initiative to have a one-on-one conversation with our alumni who graduate from U of T, who have economics degree or have taken economic courses in their undergraduate. So in this couple episodes, I will be interviewing our alumni where we'll be talking about the impact of taking economic courses in their undergraduate level, what's the impact on their day-to-day life, the impact of their current jobs. Meanwhile, we'll also talk about how to navigate early careers. So hope you enjoyed the conversation and I hope the conversations could be beneficial to you as well. Let's hear the conversation.
Today we'll be having Aaron and to join our chat. Like, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? You can introduce what was your back to the days, like what was your background study, and what are you currently working at and located at?
My name is Aaron Prakash. I am a graduate of the University of Toronto. I went to the Rotman School for the Commerce program, but as requirements at the time, completed my degree in economics in 2009. I'm currently living and working in Sydney, Australia for Salesforce. I work on the business-to-business sales team for our commercial business here in the Australia-New Zealand region.
Nice, that's great. So I'm gonna jump in like a first question will be about like economics as we chat earlier as well. Like you think taking
Sure.
yeah, having economics background kind of impact you in your day to day. So my question will be like, what are the impact of taking economic courses or having a degree affect in your day to day life and then dealing with your job tasks as well?
Yeah, I mean, listen, economics for me being the one of my favorite classes at U of T, I paid attention a lot, and obviously we take 3+ years of economics as part of the degree. But for me, the thinking and the benefit of the degree is how I use it on a day-to-day basis in the way that I approach problems, in the way that I approach situations, in the way I think holistically about what other businesses or the world around us is going to be doing and what all those factors might mean. From a macroeconomic lens, you want to look at the impacts of things with certain government policies. You look at the way that businesses operate internationally. You look at the changing prices of both inputs, materials, production, the cost of service, cost of labor, all of those little things that you kind of take for granted in a economics classroom environment become really relevant, and it shapes the way that you think in terms of how you approach and understand the different players, the different factors as part of anything, as part of a deal cycle, as part of a complex negotiation, as part of just even the before you get a job and the market at hand. So the way that I think is kind of really shaped by the economics classes I took.
Yeah, so I have this question, kind of like need a little effort from you. Do you still remember like one course you have taken where one professor you have like that most memorable?
Yeah, I mean a few. So specifically around economics, there's three. I mean, obviously, Eco 100, Professor Indart at the time, brilliant introduction into the topic. Professor Serrano in Eco 200. I actually had macroeconomics class with Peter Dungan, who I think is retired.
Mm,
Hopefully, and if he's not, benefit to all the students who get to be taught by him. But brilliant economic mind. The way his, I took the 3 hour lecture or the 2 hour lecture. I think it was the one where you get a break in between. I took that in the
mhm.
evenings, and those evenings used to fly by. Wonderful engagement, really honed in on it, made it relatable. And I think for me, that was the class that really said, okay, I think I can understand this. I think none of this isn't just some complex uh, terminology that I'll never get. This is relatable and this makes sense. So I think, and it wasn't my best class. Look, let's be clear. I didn't get an A+ in that class, but the way that the class came across, I thought it was the most applicable, especially when you're doing a lot of the other courses, which, I mean, you do these courses because you have to, and
Mhm.
the test is not necessarily a test of what you learned, right? But
Yeah.
again, I'm not going to debate debate that right now. I mean, although I do want to, but yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I guess like for my like current undergrad study, like I'm also like juggling between all those like tests, but at the same time I also love economic studies, so kind of like conflicts in between. Like, should I love economics, but I don't like the tests?
Yeah. I mean, economics, the one thing I learned is economics is a social science, right? It's not predictive in terms of the existing factors at play, but it does give a combination of historically what has happened and then the the ripple effects of a single decision made either in the short term, the very short term, the long term, or the very long term. Long run, when you learn all those time differences and what that means, you can start to see why policies are made place, why politics and monetary policy are so important, but then also what the rest of the market is doing and how that all kind of makes sense. So yeah, for
Mhm.
me, it was a big eye opener.
That's great. Yeah, I'm also curious. Like, I know, like right now, no matter we put on resume or something, like there's a skills section. So, what do you think, like, are the skills that we should develop during the undergraduate study? Like, could be beneficial in the long term. Like, a lot of students are taking econometric course to like having more data analyst skills. And then, like, just from your opinions, like you're currently working, what do you think?
I think you said it. One of the skills you should pick up is actual real data analysis. I know that's not uh, tied specifically to economics, but you really want to be able to understand how to see, understand, and then take action on data. That allows you to make the best decisions, both personally and then in the job you do day to day. Most organizations want to be data driven. A lot of them historically are not. The company I work for really works to bridge that gap and both enable and collect and bring data to the forefront and then allow you to make actionable decisions on that data. So I think for me, data analysis is number one. Number two, you also want to learn a lot of communication skills. I say that because every theory, every grade, every idea is only good as being able to sell that idea to someone else or to someone who can make a decision or help you make that decision. Communication skills are without a doubt the thing that you really should practice, especially at the undergraduate level, because again, you're going to go through interviews, you're going to go through presentations, you're going to go through meetings, and you're going to need to be able to have a point of view. And there are still people in the workforce that need to understand what you stand for and what you're going to bring to the table. Until AI replaces us all, there's a way for that to still be a very important thing. And talking about AI, being able to know how to prompt and communicate with your AI and use it as a powerful tool to do your job is, I think, the biggest trend that I'm seeing. It's certainly something that I've adapted over the last 12 to 18 months on how to actually pick up and use the resources at our hands and really deliver the outputs and the things that you need to be successful.
Right, yeah. I know like a lot of like recruiters, they also say like how important the communication skills are and how important the storytelling are. But I feel like just within taking courses, I don't see myself like can develop the communication skills because most of the time it's still like just me doing this project myself. So like, I'm just
Mhm.
curious like what else beside the coursework. I believe a lot of people do case competitions, they go to networking a lot, they do conferences. Do you think those are the best ways to develop the communication skills or like other like ways to do it?
Yeah, that's a great start. Really just participating in all the activities that are available to you. Don't be afraid to fail. So when you do these activities, you're not going to be perfect when you communicate to someone, when you try to build a network, when you try to have conversations. I think the biggest thing there in developing a lot of those skills is just practice. Go out, do the case competitions where you can start applying what you've learned in the classrooms. The other thing really that you should consider is that it's not going to be perfect, and you should really try and be yourself because I think you'll be most comfortable in your own skin, meaning that you'll be most comfortable being who you are. And I think if that's transparent or that is what comes out in a lot of these exercises, then I think it's all the better for it. You can start to build skills and muscle memory and associate yourself and network with people who are, um, you know, very understanding and maybe resonate with that form of you. So I would do it in the day to day, and it doesn't have to be formal like a case competition. Have conversations with people you haven't met before. Really try to collaborate with people in the classroom who you'd never worked with before. uh, take, volunteering or extracurricular activities like sports and, um, certain charities and work that you can do. These are all things that you can really do to practice a lot of those skills.
Right, that's a good point. Also, like you mentioned, just be yourself. I think that's super important. And
Hmm.
then that kind of like jump into the next section. Like I believe at my age, like gonna graduate, we're kind of navigate the early careers. Like a lot of people are hesitating. Like they say, "What's my first job should be?" We're like some people are like overconfident. We're like less confident. And so like just curious, like what's your first job after graduation?
Yeah, that's so listen, I have been in your shoes before, and I used to think in a more linear fashion that way. I actually graduated in 2009, like I said earlier, and that was right after we had our meltdown economically in 2008. I actually had a job offer with an agency that I worked with for years. It was in branding, field marketing, and it was a way for me to start getting my foot in the door with like CPG brands, and I thought that's what I wanted to do for a living. I'm about to write my final exam in April, and I get a call like an hour before I'm about to go to the to the hall where the exam was held, and I was told the bad news that hey, because of everything that's gone down, they're gonna have to pull my offer, and that hurt because I had to, I had said no to other offers, and I was really looking forward to working with that organization, and I had a plan and everything. So I actually went into a little bit of entrepreneurship. I started a little small business doing like, some things that I love. One of the things is car detailing. I love doing that. I did that for a few months. But because of the relationships that I kind of made by, working part-time and, talking to people, a role came up with me, for me with Microsoft in kind of a channel sales training, enablement, profile. And I went through the process because someone recommended it for me, and I did that for a couple of years, where I was working with like big retailers and new product launches and training dynamics and sales campaigns, and that was really cool. I got headhunted for a role within the telecommunications industry in Canada, where I spent almost 12 years. 6 of those with one of the big ones in Rogers, and now Rogers Shaw, doing everything in terms of sales and business development, all the way up to large enterprise engagements. So I got to have, big shots like Edward Rogers actually talk to customers of mine and attend meetings and, do all the perks of, taking a customer to a game and dinners and all the travel and et cetera. And since then, for the last few years, I actually been with Salesforce, working on enterprise software sales and development, and now artificial intelligence and that whole digital agent, digital labor type of motion. And I've been doing that for 3 years. So yeah, my first job was the job I actually didn't start, and I took the time to kind of do what I like to earn a living to pay back the student loan, and timing worked out because of combination of things with network and opportunity, which is the thing that I've learned consistently is you can control a lot of things. Timing is maybe not one of them, but you can control how prepared you are for when that opportunity comes, and when it does, do your best to nail it.
That's so true. I feel very related to what you have. Like, even though I don't have a job offer, I'm not applying for jobs. But I
Hmm.
like, I also, because you said like be myself, but I believe maybe me represent a lot of undergraduate students. Like, we don't have time to find who we are or like what's our interests. We will do like clubs, attending events, but like still hard to find what's our values. I'm also doing a little entrepreneur, but like that's a one way for me to take times to think about it. And
Hmm.
I actually like want to ask, kind of like related to what you said before, like what do you think the importance of first job? Or like what's the importance of like getting your foot in the door?
So, I mean, listen, last I checked, you still need money to live and survive. So, and pay back, and for a lot of us, we had student loans. Some people are lucky they don't have to worry about that. For me, and attending the great University of Toronto, it's not the most cost-effective endeavor. So I did need to have something relatively soon to be able to accommodate and support that. It's important from that lens. I also think it's important to be able to understand that everything you learn in the classroom is just one part of it. And once you get that real world experience in delivering and working with businesses, assuming you go private sector, I mean, public sector, there's a lot of similarities, but assuming that you're able to start seeing what's valuable, delivering that value, learning the skills in the workplace, learning how to use some of the workplace tools and systems, Salesforce being one of them, um, the better you equip yourself to make the next job. And I think whatever job you get, that first job, it might not be related. Focus on being excellent at it and making connections and looking for the opportunity to potentially evolve from that role or maybe transition. The best piece of advice I got early on in my career was actually from one of my first bosses in the telecom industry. And she said, and brilliant woman, um, and she's had an amazing career for herself, but she said to me, give yourself 3 years, at a role at most in today's day and age. And I think that's probably going to be updated too, but take the first year to learn and take the second year to perform. Take the third year to find that next role and evolve, right? And if you're not moving up, you're moving up to the next role. And good young talent that is eager to learn and build skills and perform is always in demand. So, getting that first job is going to be difficult, but you really should look at from their lens when they're bringing you on. They're looking to make sure that you drive value, that the money that they pay you, they're going to get returned tenfold, maybe more in output, whether it's hours, new business, productivity gains. There's a lot of things to consider. So that's my view on the first job.
Hmm.
For me, my first job actually landed me a career in an industry I never even thought about, and now it transitioned to somewhere. Again, I'm working in software as a service, which is such a cool industry. I wish I had done this sooner, but I don't think I get here without doing all the stuff I did before, and then before that, I don't get that job without my first job.
Hmm. I think it's very valuable points. I also like, based on the current job market, we all quite like, a
Hmm.
lot of people are very frustrated, I know.
Yeah.
And then, so what do you suggest people to do, like to navigate their like for early careers based on this tough job market, or like how to find their own values, or just start to do something first?
I would buy a lottery ticket, and if that hits early on, then you don't have to worry about the rest. To be honest, I couldn't imagine being in your shoes right now. I mean, it was already tough for a lot of the top performing students to land something. A lot of the students I knew, my friends, colleagues who are still in contact with today, a lot of them became accountants, and the track was very straightforward. You pick a firm, you do a training program. After a few years, you're certified. For the rest of us who did non-traditional careers or careers that didn't have that as much structure, it very much was build up skills in a lot of the things I said: analysis, communication, sales skills, operational skills. Figure out how to apply those, and if you can't find an organization that wants to bring you on for that, try to see if you have value starting something yourself. In your position, I mean, there's so many different avenues and a lot of new grad postings in a lot of these organizations. The ones I've worked for all have new grad programs, but they're not the only programs. There are a lot of junior or entry level roles that get your foot in the door in some of these, particularly in places like customer success, customer service, potentially even sales development, looking to really um, build that muscle of connecting and having conversations with upper level leaders, maybe even C-level execs, and building potential business prospects for larger businesses. Those are roles that are always hiring for the right people who are, again, analytically focused, strong communication skills. Um, but yeah, I mean, never keep your mind open. Speak to as many people as you can. You never know who you might meet, who might change your life. I was referred into a job by someone I had met in a past life. So, um, keep trying. The focus on what you can do and focus on trying to do something every day with the tools that you have available with AI, with generative and research AI. You should be able to, sit in a room and blast applications out like crazy that are customized and that work. So there are ways to do this more efficiently than when I did this, I want to say 15, 16 years ago.
Hmm. Yeah, that's actually all my questions. Do you have some more points to add on, like to like potential wishes to the economic students?
I mean, look, if my personal bias is I've been doing what's called business to business sales, and it wasn't a path right out of university, but I wish it was because it is a way to really apply everything that you've learned. You learn communication skills, you learn analytic skills, you learn economic theory, you learn about, depending on the degree you do, you learn about business operations, human resources, you learn about manufacturing, you learn about how to run a business. And I think in this field and profession, you get to speak to a lot of those stakeholders in those businesses. I speak to CEOs, COOs, CIOs, CTOs every day, and the thing that I get to do is my job is very non-standard. I don't have a day where it's the same thing over and over again. I'm either traveling, I'm working on something new. I'm not bored by my job, and I'm lucky and fortunate in that sense where I would look down at my watch and all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock and I felt like I just got there and I have to plan my next day. I hope you can find a career or a job like that. But remember, the difference between a career and job, at this point, not really much until you start figuring out what you like. Don't feel like you have to do that now. I follow what makes you happy, follow what pays your bills, get something to get you started, and then you can start to hone in on things that you like. You may not like the job that you get first off, but you might like elements of it. You might like certain tasks that you do, and then you might be good at them, and then you might be able to explore that. So I would say just keep an open mind, try new things. There are non-traditional careers everywhere. I mean, we're in a world right now where, again, I'm speaking of what my organization's doing, but we're focusing on digital labor. A lot of those manual tasks that needed people are not going to need people anymore. You're going to be able to use automation and artificial intelligence agents to do those jobs for you. So maybe something worth supporting that. I mean, I'm passionate about that stuff, so that for me allows me to kind of speak about that to leaders who are looking to build a strategy. But um, those are some of the things that I would say. I mean, I'm always available to whoever's listening to this. If you ever want to reach out, I'm happy to have a conversation. I volunteer as a mentor to the program because part of me wants to give back to a student who was like me, who maybe didn't have someone who can speak to these things and give you their take. So I'm happy to offer that forward to anyone who's listening to this.
Perfect. Thank you so much.